Hello everyone, and welcome to another video on CodeSign Secure. Today, we'll be taking a look at our reports section. The reports section is a very important part of CodeSign Secure. It gives you your audit trail, it tracks signing requests, it tracks certificates and clients, and any different signings that may have been done. So just taking a look at our first tab here, you can see it's broken down into 4 different sections, and right now we're looking at our signing request tab. So the signing request reports are sortable by the start date and end date, so a range of dates that we want to look at. We can sort it by environment, and we can sort it by user specifically as well. And here we can see just across last year, even though this extends to 2021, the graph itself will just show the past year. And we can see that about 999 signings have been done. So we can see exactly how many have been done in each month. We can also see down here the specific messages and whether the signing went through or failed. So the failure could be because a signing request was denied. It could also be because say a request just wasn't approved in time. So these failures have a number of different meanings here. But this just gives you a general idea of who signed it, what certificate they used, what environment they're in, and specific job IDs, as well as when the signing occurred. So this is just a basic level of understanding of the signing request reports. Now, audit trail is where we get into depth here. So if I just extend our date out a little bit, just go a year or so ago. So here we can see our audit trail. Now, you see we have a reports and a logs section. Reports is for that human readability. So if you have an auditor coming in, they would want to see these reports versus the logs. And the logs themselves are something you would send to an SIEM tool like Splunk. So we'll look into those in our next video. But the audit trail here is extremely helpful. We can right-click this and see the details, and we get a number of different details here. So we get who it was created by, when the event occurred, the username of the user that actually ran this command that may have run. So in this case, it's the completion of signing. We can see their IP address as well as their user. We can see when it was created. We can see the level of information on this alert. And we can also see a message here. So this is the important part. This says that Aryan signed with a certificate called OV code signing. And we also get the hash of the file there. So we're not actually passing any information on to the server side. We're just passing the hash. So that's what's recorded in our logs here. So this gives you a great way of tracking signing operations, of generating hashes, of basically a number of different details. Like here we can see our updated application was done. So a number of different details are recorded here, not just signings, but most people will tend to use it just for signing. Now, just a few more notes. We again have our start and end dates, we have our applications, and we have our categories to sort by. Now, jumping over to certificates, this is where we see a bit of detail on the certificates themselves. So if I just extend this out a bit, and again, you can sort by environment, you can sort by users, anything like that. Now with our certificates, we get 2 different graphs. We get a key algorithms graph, so we can see how many are RSA and how many are ECDSA in this case. We can see how soon these certificates are expiring. So any certificates created within this range will show up here, and it'll say how many days until they expire. And then again, we get more detail down here where we can see the environment name, the algorithm, the certificate name, as well as who created it and when they created it, along with the expiry date of that certificate. Now, one important thing I meant to note in our last tab, if we jump back to our audit trail here, and this goes for all of our report sections, we have the export option. So we can export it as a PDF, we can export it as a CSV, or we can export it as a syslog. So we get all 3 different options here when working with our different reports. So now just jumping down to our clients, we have our KSP information. So if you'd clicked on our key performance indicators on the dashboard in the client section, it would jump you right to here. So here we get to see the KSP information, what version we're on, what product it's specifically assigned to, things like that. We get to see the signing KSPs being used. So this is how many are consumed versus how many are remaining. And if I extend this out by about a year or 2 here, Just give this a second to apply. And we actually get the client IPs assigned to the users of our KSPs. So our model of pricing is based around clients, not around how many signatures are done in a year. So here we get to see what clients are technically using the KSP, and we get to see what users those are assigned to. So this is a great way to keep track of your signing KSPs. If you see that someone's still considered using one and they've left the company, then you can remove them and take care of that so you free up an extra KSP for a new developer or a different developer. Now, one last thing I'll show you is our download option under KSP information. This just jumps you back over to our signing tools page. So there's not much you need to worry about with that. You should normally go through the signing tools page before the reports, just so that you can make sure everything is reporting properly. So thank you all for joining. That's everything I have for you today on our reports section, and we look forward to talking to you next time in our logs section.